Hey guys, and welcome back to The Unknown Show. I'm Boston,
And I'm Side.
and we bring you indie music every Monday at 2.
So, well, what were the last things we heard? The last three songs we heard.
The last three songs we heard were If I'm Being Honest by Dodie, Psycho by Laura Aquilina, Happier by Marshmello and Bastille, the stripped version, which is just basically they kind of took out all the hard melodies and things like that and just brought it down to basics.
And speaking of which, this segment will be on artists that do choose to, either strip down or revamp their songs and how we feel about it. So actually, of the songs we just played, each one has been altered by the artist alters the songs that were played or other songs on the album. So Dodie, not If I'm Being Honest, but actually last week we played it. It was Human. She released that song on YouTube 2 years ago and then revamped it with Tom Walker for her upcoming EP release in January. And that was the single that was released. And then All of Them Dreams by Tom Rosenthal was played as well. And that song, well, actually, his entire album that song was released from is called Z-Sides. And what he means by that is he took all his songs and made them change the melodies in order for people to be able to go to sleep easily listening to them. So Z-Sides, like sleeping. Isn't that fun?
Gotcha. Yeah, I really like that, actually.
He changed so many of the songs of the way they're written in order to do that. And then we only listened to a little bit of it, but Psycho by Lauren Aquilina. She actually did a 4-way cover of that with, as I previously mentioned, Dodie, and then Orla Gartenlind and Tessa Violet. They took each of their singles that will be released or are being released recently, and then put them all together. So that was interesting if you want to check that out on YouTube. And then finally, Happier by Marshmello and Bastille. That was a stripped down version that they released, and I'm a huge fan of it. I love how it's still very upbeat, even though it's a stripped down version. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I think I like that version more actually because I'm not a huge fan of the original song, but that one I really liked. I'm a fan of like the slower, more instrumental version, definitely.
Like instead of the synthesizer,
Yeah,
it's like the oh. It's just I found it last night and I haven't stopped listening to it.
Yeah,
since.
I think sometimes like the synthesizer especially can be a little too harsh. It's very hard to make the synthesizer like an easygoing sound. I think the last time I heard someone do it successfully was with Panic at the Disco's Too Weird to Live, Too Young to Die. Some of those songs on there definitely had a softer sounding synthesizer. But it's kind of interesting how artists play around with those things.
It is. It really is. Is there any songs that you could recommend that were redone?
Well, obviously you have like your remixes and things like that, but my favorite versions of redone songs are when artists take songs that are from maybe 5, 10, 15 plus years ago, and they really dive in and go back to the roots, things they haven't sung in a while, things they haven't worked on in a while, but have kind of wanted to revamp and bring back. The most obvious example I can think of are like Aerosmith redoing their original album, things like that. Or even Miley Cyrus covering some songs from Hannah Montana on YouTube for charity, things like that. I mean, I can't really think of an obvious one right now. I don't know. I feel like each time an artist chooses to bring a song back, it's for a very specific reason because it either meant a lot to them or because musically it was either technical or they thought they could do it a different way. They weren't happy with the end result or the reaction to the song originally. So, I mean, I like the motivation behind it the best, I think. And then the product's always so much not better than the first version, but has so much more weight to it, I think, when an artist redoes a song because it means they had time to sit down and really think about the dynamics of it.
No, definitely. And I think when a song is redone, it can also change the meaning of the song, which is something we've previously talked about.
Yeah.
But it's such a fascinating concept in music, how a song can be written, produced, and put out meaning one thing, but then when you revisit it 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the line, it could completely change the dynamic of how you're supposed to perceive the song from the artist's
Yeah,
point of view.
definitely. I mean, everything changes the meaning of a song. Like the artist obviously has a different interpretation, like than the listener does. Like think of like Taylor Swift, who we've talked about a million times on here. She never mentions names in her songs. Sometimes it can be implied, but we don't know the real story behind everything. Especially in Reputation, her most recent album. But because of that, we can pull our own meaning from the music. We can relate it to our own lives, our own experiences. But when an artist redoes a song, like you said, it's like they're finding new meaning in it. And then because of that, the audience is then listening and thinking, okay, maybe it could mean this too.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, definitely. I'm a big fan. I love also songs that even when they're written have two meanings.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think that's just such a clever way to, have a song that's basically, the two sides of a coin.
Well, I always thought that's why Chocolate by the 1975 did so well, and songs like that, because there's a duality to it. There's kind of, not only does it sound good and people just like listening to it, it's easy listening, but it also kind of allows multiple people to relate to it, because there's people on one side who are listening to it for one reason, and then there's other people who are listening to it for another. So I just find, like you said, I find that so interesting.
Yeah. No, so definitely go check out some of these songs we've been mentioning, because I think they'll make you think, and then listen to the original version and see how that makes you feel versus the remade version.
Yeah. And well, another interesting side of it too is like people covering songs, because when someone covers a song, they listen to it, they interpret it their own way, and they kind of rework it to make it their own and how they want it to sound. So I mean, I think covers are incredible. If you look on some radio stations, YouTube's, or on Spotify, sometimes they have artists come in and just cover other artists' songs, and that in itself is just incredible. Like, I think Haim came in to a radio station and covered "That Don't Impress Me Much."
Oh,
And it just kind of made it sound completely different. It was, again, a stripped down version. It was like a rework of it. I don't know. I would definitely check that out, because that was incredible.
Or even Demi Lovato covered a Hozier song like 2 years ago on BBC Radio 1, and he has repaid the favor he just did Sorry Not Sorry by Demi Lovato in the past week or two.
Yeah.
So, it's a little homage to people's work, and I think that's a great way of showing it as an artist, to take it and make it your own and show that you support them.
Yeah. I mean, the BBC Radio 1 Live Lounge is a great source for artists covering music. They have artists come in, sing some of their songs, and then they cover their own. Like the 1975 covered What Makes You Beautiful by One Direction. Niall Horan covered a song by, I forget who it was. It was really good though. And then 5 Seconds of Summer came in.
Harry
Hozier
Styles.
went in. Harry Styles went in.
Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. So every week they have another artist, and they kind of just break the elements of the music down, perform it, and it's always beautiful. I mean, I always enjoy it.
I think it's a great way of actually finding new music too, because I'm now going back like 5-6 years, but Ed Sheeran covered Take Me to Church, and I had only listened to that song a couple of times. I love Hozier now, but I hadn't really listened to him much then. I'd only heard his name and heard that, but the more I listened to Ed Sheeran's version, it actually made me then go listen to the entirety of Hozier's album, and made me the fan of Hozier I am today. So I would definitely,
when you listen to things like that, you're also listening to what the artist is interested in. So you may understand more of what their influence is, or the things they're listening to. So that's always something to look into.
Yeah, like the 1975 so often goes to cover R&B songs, because that's truly what they like to listen to. And I always find that very interesting.
Or you look at Post Malone, who listens to a lot of rock, a lot of kind of the grunge bands from, I'd say, our high school days, maybe. I think
Mhm.
they're still active, like
Mhm.
Pierce the Veil, Sleeping with Sirens, things like that. He's on record as being a huge fan of artists like that, and yet his music is so, so different. So it's really interesting to look at that. And without further ado, we're going to jump right back into the music, and we'll be back in just a little bit. Don't forget to stop by the WICR Career Panel event in Romita tonight at 6:30. We have some great panelists for you. Food and beverages will be provided, and we have some raffle prizes. So definitely come on down.